Hi guys, I'm Matt.
And I'm Bailey, and welcome to our channel. So we haven't sat down and updated you guys in quite some time. Life has been crazy, it's been busy, a lot of things have been going on. It's been quite a while since we sat down with you guys and kind of gave you an update on our infertility journey, and we really want to do that before kind of the next steps proceed. So that's what we're doing today. So if you're new here and you enjoy our video and are enjoying following along on our infertility journey, make sure to give this video a thumbs up. So let's hit that subscribe button down below. It means the world to us when you subscribe to our channel. And I guess we're just gonna hop right into it. You ready? Okay. So the last video you guys saw has been since March, so it's been quite some time, and a lot has happened since then. Last time we left off, we were about to be, well, you were about to go give another analysis. That ended up going good and bad, I feel like. So basically what happened was Matt gave another semen analysis, and it ended up getting, like, there was more sperm. It was enough sperm for them to freeze it, which was really good. We're not sure the exact number of sperm. They didn't tell us, but they did tell us that they had frozen it between 2 different vials, and that by the end of the month they were going to be doing a test thaw to see if the sperm were good enough quality to survive the test thaw. So we waited till the end of, was it March, beginning of April?
The end of March.
And they took one of the the tubes and did a test thaw, and it ended up that the sperm just weren't good enough quality and they didn't survive the test thaw. So therefore that meant that our best option and alternative was moving forward with a Microtese surgery, which we kind of wanted to avoid. We were really hopeful that Matt's body could produce enough sperm and we could save it up over time to be able to do IVF without the Microtese. But I just believe our doctor thinks our best chances and quickest chances of moving forward with IVF is going to be through a Microtese. We both still don't know exactly 100% what that entails. I think we're going into it a little blind, but I think that's kind of a good thing as well. You know, we're not over prepared to where we're super scared. I mean, we are a little scared, obviously, but I think if we knew too much, it would be a little too stressful. So that is our next steps, is a Microtese. So we have that scheduled for a week from today. We're down to a week. May 30th is our Microtese surgery. There's a lot riding on this date. Obviously, if it's successful, that's fantastic. We're hopeful to move forward with IVF and hopefully have that be successful. Obviously, with IVF, a lot can go wrong. There's a lot of things that can happen, but you know, this is one of our first steps and humps on getting to that point. And then if it's not successful, it's kind of gonna be a little bit of a grieving period in our infertility journey, a little bit of a standstill in our journey, because that's gonna be something we're gonna need to take the time to process and grieve. And you know, the idea of having biological children together.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely kind of the last resort, medically our last resort. Obviously, a virgin was able to give birth and have a kid and stuff like that. So
he's talking about Mary.
Yeah.
If you don't know who he's talking about.
Okay, he's still a virgin. Same
Well,
thing,
yes, but some people don't know who you're
Correct.
talking about because
Correct.
they're not Christians. So he's talking about Mary in the Bible.
She was a virgin. She gave birth. So it's always one of those things, like, God is the impossible. I mean, the miracles that He works for not just us, but for anybody in that aspect of whatever it may be. And it's one of those things, we've heard a bunch of stories of people that have infertility problems, and they've been told they can't have kids, or been told this or that, and then they have a kid. And it's one of those things that, I mean, all you can do is just say thank you, and you know it was from Him. So that's kind of where I'm at with the process. Obviously, I want it to be positive. I want it to work out, but there's so much uncertainty, and that's what's, I guess, the hardest part, is because you just don't know what's next.
Yeah. And I think for us too, you know, if it is not successful, we'll definitely take some pauses to kind of figure out the next steps we want to go in as far as having children. You know, like Matt said, God performs miracles all the time. We could be in our 30s and get pregnant naturally, you know, if anything's possible with God. So, you know, we're not saying that's completely out of the picture, but if this surgery does not end up in success, the chances of that are a lot smaller than they would if it was successful. And maybe that's just something that we're going to have to come to terms with, the fact that that's not God's will for our life and that's not God's plan for our family. And I think we both can confidently say that we believe in God's plan and God's will for our family now, but that doesn't mean getting the reality of that and the actual, like, we're preparing for that to maybe be a possibility, and I think we're both comfortable with that, but it doesn't mean that when that does happen it won't hurt and there won't be some tears shed and some time that we need to kind of recover from that. Even though we know God's plan is better than our own and we trust God's plan and will for our life. If anything, this experience at least has taught me, like, to really give all my stress and worry and anxiety over my life to the Lord. Throughout this whole process, one, sharing it on social media for me has been very relieving. It's allowed me to connect with so many other people going through infertility and have so many different signs from the Lord that I'm meant to be a mom, that we're meant to be parents. For instance, this past month was Mother's Day, and that definitely was a difficult holiday for me to get through. But I also started reading this book called The Longing. It's by this amazing author who dealt with infertility and miscarriage, and a really good friend of mine gifted it to me, and I started reading it, and it speaks in that book about asking God for direct signs from Him. And I had read a chapter that night, and I prayed to God, you know, if I'm meant to be a mom, this was the week leading up to Mother's Day. I think it was a Tuesday. Mother's Day was on a Sunday. I prayed, and I was like, God, if I'm meant to be a mom, give me a sign. You know, I went about my day the next day. I hadn't even thought about that. That hadn't even crossed my mind. And I get a package on the door. And it's this gorgeous bouquet of flowers. So I knew I didn't order it for myself. And there's this card in it. And I can't remember exactly what it said now. But it was from a really good friend, Tiffany. And it basically just said, Mother's Day isn't just for moms with kids in their arms. It's also for mothers with kids in their heart, longing for them to be in their arms. And it just made me bawl my eyes out, because one, it was so sweet, but also because it was literally like God was telling me, you're going to be a mom. We're not sure how that's going to look yet. We're not sure if that means we're going to be parents to biological children. We don't know if we're going to be parents to adopted children, parents to foster children, parents to, you know, a child that's half me, half a donor. Or a combination of multiple of those things. We don't know what that's going to look like, but I have confident reassurance from the Lord that we will be parents and that we will have children and we will have a family. I just don't know what that quite looks like yet. You know, another really good friend of mine sent me this bracelet I've got on, and it says soon on it, and that was just a week or two later, and it's just been a great reminder that, you know, our time's coming soon. And I think we're just really kind of, at least I feel at peace with what's going to happen. I know there's going to be moments where it's overwhelming and it's upsetting and it's hard, but I feel really at peace, at least trusting God and what He's working out in our life. When at first I was very mad at Him and very against His plan.
Yeah. And I mean, I've got a bunch of uncertainty too, and
Yeah, how are you feeling right now going into the Microtese surgery?
I mean, I'm nervous just for the whole surgery process, and then obviously there's just a lot of steps that have to take place, and I guess that's what is leading the uncertainty and not really knowing, and I don't like not knowing what's going to happen. But obviously, like she said, keeping the faith, trusting, having a partner to lean on when you need somebody. That's the biggest, I would probably say so. But it's here. I mean, in January when all this went down, like I was like, there's no way we're gonna get to May. There's no way.
It felt forever away, didn't it?
There's no way we're gonna get to it. There's no way that we're gonna have to go through that. I just knew that there was something there. Obviously, there was there. And then obviously when they froze, and we did the test that was a long month. went through some up and downs. But I think that it's made us stronger. But I think closer. But it's very, there's just a lot of different ways that it can go. And if it is successful and they do find some, they've got to freeze it again.
Yeah, I think that's one thing. Oh, just broke my ring. I think that's one thing with the microtese surgery, that even if it is successful, that is only the first step in 100 to get to the point of having a child. With IVF, if you're not familiar, you haven't ever went through that, I mean, like we said, step 1, microtese, finding sperm. But then they have to freeze it, and then we have to get to a point where we're preparing my body. They have to collect enough eggs that are mature. The sperm that they collect from him has to be thawed out. But once they thaw the sperm out, they have to survive, but then they also have to be good enough to fertilize my eggs. Then the embryos have to make it to blastocysts and all that different stuff. And then if you get embryos, you have to go through transfers and then cross your fingers that they stick and then that they continue to grow and you don't miscarry. So there's so much that we still have to go through. And our journey is just beginning. We're just hitting the tip of the iceberg, and we're either gonna be starting up this hill and the microtest is gonna be successful, we have a lot to go through next, or we're kind of gonna hit a point where I think we're just gonna need a couple months to kind of really reevaluate and decide what we want this journey to look like for us if it is negative. But yeah, there's still so much more, and speaking on the terms of it being successful, if it is, we've got a long journey, and it truly won't be over until that baby is like on our chest crying and breathing, because there's just so much through IVF that can go wrong. I think it's only like 60%, maybe it's even lower. I don't know, I can maybe put it on the screen if I can find it, that like certain amount of IVFs only end, like a percentage, I think it's 50%, maybe less, only end in a live birth, like a live child. So it's not like, oh, you could do IVF, that's great, like you'll have a baby. IVF does not guarantee a child. It is a chance at a child. You know, we are exploring other options, you know, as we go, making moves in different directions, but that's kind of, I feel like, where we're at as far as what we can share now, what we want to share now, and kind of what's to come. Do you want to share something before I kind of go into another thing?
Yeah. So I've been speaking with somebody just about kind of everything going on and the process and figuring out myself in the whole journey. And he had brought up a Bible verse to me. And it's Philippians 4:6-7. Says, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus." And with the uncertainty that's coming, you don't know what is there. So I would say that.
Are you gonna tear up?
No.
You about did. You're gonna make me cry.
I wrote that on the board, and I don't know if you saw that or not, on the calendar.
What calendar? Oh no, I haven't seen it.
Ever since I got back from having that conversation, I wrote that on the board, and
it just shows how much I pay attention.
But every time I walk past, I always see it and I think about it. So I just found out. I just obviously heard that verse the other day, and it's just to not have any worry. Like, don't be anxious. The uncertainty, like, don't worry about it. Like, with thanksgiving, with prayer, petition, the request from God. I mean, it lays it out there for you. So that's been, I guess,
what's been kind of getting you through it.
Yeah. And leading up to the surgery, obviously, just because neither one of us know what's next.
I'll tell you what, though, I don't see how anyone in this world gets through anything without God, without the full trust and understanding and just faithfulness in the Lord, because if not for him, there's no way either of us would get through this and in a good way. Like I said previously, I feel at such peace about our journey so far. And I know if Tuesday isn't successful, it will be a little bit of a step back for us both emotionally, and I think in our journey as well. But for some reason, I'm not super anxious about it. I'm not super worried about it, because I just truly have surrendered everything to God, and I fully trust his plan for our life. And if that doesn't mean biological children, then that is completely fine, because I know it will be far greater than any family we could have ever built in our minds. And I just felt lately like so much just peace and comfort in God's plan for us. And I've been journaling. That's been really helping me in this process. I just started recently. There's just been so many big moments and big feelings that I've wanted to document. I've only wrote 2 entries. I wish I'd been doing this the whole journey since we found out about our infertility, but writing down my feelings on paper, and I've been attaching a verse to how I've been feeling every single time I write in that journal, and I'm going to continue to do it throughout our infertility journey. But that has really helped me, like journaling, reading infertility books, or just like Christian-based, books around infertility, and then also sharing this online with our community and finding people. Like the amount of TikToks I've gotten and messages I've gotten from other people saying, we're going through this too, thank you so much for sharing, I feel so not alone. It's just what's getting me through it, and obviously the strength and, comfort from God. But I know we were meant for this journey. As hard as it is, and as much as it does suck, I know that God is creating, we're going to do great things with this story one day, and I know it.
Mm-hmm. And obviously everybody wants to be parents. We say that everybody wants to be parents, and we want to be parents, and it's always be parents to their own kids. Mm-hmm. Obviously that is everybody's goal. Mm-hmm. Some people have different paths. Mm-hmm. We have a different path. Mm-hmm. And that's just let the cookie crumble sometimes. It sucks. Definitely never when I was growing up that I would have ever thought or dreamed or anything of me going through this. And then now us going through it together. It never crossed my mind. I was like, I can't wait to be a dad and have my own boys out there running around, or girls running around, whatever. Obviously, whatever path that God chooses for us, they're still going to be our kids. Whatever.
It's going to be our family.
Whatever way. Either way, it's still going to be us. It's still going to be ours.
And as much as it does suck sometimes, I feel confident. I'm almost thankful that God gave us this, journey and battle. I thank him now for this path. I thank him now for this journey, because I genuinely think he is going to use it for his good and his glory. And I can't wait to see the fruits of what we're going through. Hopefully lead others to Christ, or lead others during infertility to a place where they feel more safe and not alone. And I just know, as we suffer right now and as we hurt right now, the glory that's going to come from this story. And when this journey comes full circle, there will be nothing but glory to give to God, and he is going to use it for his kingdom. And I feel honored and grateful to be people he's chosen for that, even though sometimes it feels like it sucks and you don't want to be the person he picks.
Like you're being attacked.
Yeah,
it's unfair. And it's that was definitely my first.
That was both of ours.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Was obviously in the moment I was like, that's unfair. Some people don't even try and get to have kids, and
or don't want their kids.
Don't want kids or whatever. But that's the path that was chosen for them. And that was my thought at first, was that's unfair. But a buddy of mine was like, you can't think that way. You got to be happy for them, because they got to have a kid, and you may not be able to get to have your own kid.
And we're super happy for people.
Yeah.
When they get pregnant. I mean, there's people all over getting pregnant. Yeah. All of our friends, they're having babies, they're getting pregnant, and we're super happy for them. I can't say that it doesn't still hurt initially finding out, And, you know, I even shed a couple tears the other day when I found out one of my friends was pregnant. And it wasn't any negative feelings towards them. It's just, you know, it still does hurt. So it's okay. You know, we're living in a constant state of hurt, but contentment, I feel like.
Yeah.
Like I'm like I said, I'm very content, but it doesn't mean sometimes it still doesn't hurt. I'm content with however, you know, God's plan for our life. So if the surgery on Tuesday isn't successful, I'm content in that, but it doesn't mean it's not still gonna hurt.
Yeah.
You know?
And again, that was how whenever we found out everything from the beginning, it was resorted to anger. And
Lots of anger.
it was very hard those first, I would say, several weeks when people were like, well, we saw other people that we don't even know on social media having a kid. It's like, why?
Why
Like,
us?
why us? Like, why do we have to go through this? And we're the only ones. Obviously, there's tons of other people. And I figured that out, too, going to my clinic during the process. Was when I showed up, our first time going was later in the afternoon. Nobody had any other appointments. This was me and her in the clinic, in the fertility clinic. Well, I go back probably, 3 weeks later, and give my second sample. And I walk in, and there's like 5 couples in there that are my age, male and female in there. And like, I sat down and looked around, and I was like, it's not just me.
No.
It's not just us. There's other people going through it too. And like she said earlier, I'm gonna rebound off of her, is like, we want to be able to not just talk about our story, but it might get other people through their story, because we've watched people that at times have helped us get through the process. So we want to be able to share our process and our journey, whatever navigation we have to go, and be able to share that to maybe help like the next couple out.
Yeah. So I think that's kind of
That's
the update. Like I said, the big thing coming around the corner a week from today, the Microtese surgery. We're excited, we're nervous, but we're trusting in God, and whatever happens, happens. I'm planning to hopefully vlog the day and the experience, possibly, depending on how I'm feeling. So that'll probably be the video after this. It's kind of the vlog of the Microtese day and also the results of the Microtese. We've got a couple other things we're kind of working on that we potentially might vlog about and post later in the year. But a lot of good things coming, a lot of good in our life still, regardless of dealing with infertility. You know, God's still good all the time, no matter how difficult our battles feel in the moment, and we're grateful and thankful for the life we do have and for the exciting things to come, because we know even if the Microtese on Tuesday isn't successful, we know our story's not done. We know
it's
our
not the end of the road.
No, we're just getting started. We will be parents. We will be the best parents, and we can't wait to meet our kids, regardless of where they come from. It's gonna be, I mean, in 5 years we're probably gonna have 3 or 4 kids maybe, and it's all gonna make sense regardless if they're ours, they look like us, whatever.
Lord willing.
It's gonna be quite the journey. So we invite you to follow along. Thank you for watching this update. Hopefully in the next video we've got some more updates for you guys, hopefully positive, but we can't wait to take you guys along. So we love you, thank you for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.